Hey, I am here tonight. I'm not going to be doing much. I'm much later in starting than I wanted to, so I'm not going to do a ton tonight, but I wanted to make a little bit of progress. So where I'm at is working on still on the mini Marcel dress. I've got it all cut out. I've got my pieces interfaced. And tonight I'm going to try to get my tier pieces, the panel pieces for the sides, at least basted along the top, ready to be gathered together, and then possibly maybe even some straps and work on the bodice. So that's the plan. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to make sure, okay, my machine is threaded with purple at the moment. So I'm going to switch that out. I am working on, I'm going to switch over to my sewing scene here. So you can kind of see it pretty well. I'm not sure why this moves every time, but there we go. That's better. So here are my machines. I have a Singer heavy duty. This is the, whatever it is, 1153, I think, for the, doesn't have the model number on it, but it's the one with the most stitches. I do like this machine a lot. Probably not my all-time favorite. I do wish, well, let's just say don't buy the one with all the stitches because you can't really end up using them all the way you want to. Anyway, so buy the one with less stitches and save some money. That's what I would do. But I do like that it's heavy duty. I have been able to sew through all the layers of all the things that I want. I eventually plan on getting back into bag making. I keep telling myself I'm going to do a bag for my next project, and then I make clothes because that's what I do now apparently. And I like that this machine can sew through pretty much everything I throw at it. I did a sample with some vinyl and it was beautiful. Even stitches, and it was interfaced and doubled, and this is a mechanical machine. It is not computerized. Some people love that. Some people hate that. Some people don't care. But for the price, it's a really good machine. But I do recommend watching for sales. Do not pay manufacturer price for it because it goes on sale all the time. Okay. Ta-da! There we go. And because I'm just that sort of person, I always grab a little snack? No, listen to me. A little bit of fabric and just do a quick sample to make sure that it's what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and do a basting length from this sample because that's what I'm going to be stitching. My needle's in the middle. It is kind of a loud machine, but that's partly because it really is a mechanical machine. It just, yeah, it's brute force. It's awesome. Okay, everything's looking good. So I'm going to get my panels out. Tier 1 does not gather. It is kind of the side piece of the bodice, actually. This is not a panel, that is the front or back, the centerpiece, front or back centerpiece. Here we go. So here is side panel tier 1. So as you can see, it's got the, this is kind of the shape of the armhole. Oh, it's got dirt. Okay, it's just dirt. I thought I was having more flaws in the fabric, but no, just dirt that comes off. Okay. Let's see, I'm going to go put this, oh, I got to switch back. See? Ta-da! And I don't know why it's doing that. I'm going to get out of studio mode and see if I can figure out why there's a big, I don't know. Why is there a big black line on my screen? I don't know. These are things I don't know. I'll figure it out at one of these points. Someday I'm going to know how to do this streaming and it's going to be awesome. So this is pattern piece 7. It is side panel tier 2. And I've got my notches marked on the bottom, and there are no notches on the top, so I'm just gonna, I do double basting lines for gathering, so I stitch, seam allowance on this one is 3/8 of an inch, and there's no way I'm gonna do 2 rows of basting within that, so I'm gonna probably do 1 row of basting inside. Like, I'll do it, you know, here kind of a 1/4 inch in, and then a 1/4 inch from that. I don't worry about being super straight or anything with these, but if you get too out of line, it won't gather very well. So I try to be as neat as needed. That's probably my philosophy. So here is 1 panel down. So last time I streamed yesterday, and my daughter, who this is for, came down with me, and she just loved that we streamed together. Okay, I'm going to make sure I am sewing along the top. So I've got that side in here. She was just super excited, and all day today talked about, didn't we have so much fun sewing, Mommy? So much fun. She really tried to talk me into more. She's like, I want to go stream again. It would have been like 10 or 15 minutes worth of time before we had to come back up, and I was like, no, sorry. Excuse me, not the COVID, I promise. Honestly, I was sneaking some M&Ms right before this. I got a little bit of an M&M stuck in my throat. Okay. This piece needs press, kind of got grease on it, but there they go. Side panel 2. And we'll put this right under side panel 1 over here. I sometimes try to be a little bit organized and sometimes clean up my space. Not always. Okay, here is side panel 3. Ooh, that's got out of whack. What's going on here? So this, as I said, I am not always super organized. So now this one has 2 notches along the top edge and 3 on the bottom. So I'm going to make sure that I got those in the right spot. I do not. Just kidding. It's got 3 on both. Neat. But they are in different places, looks like. I'll try to just put this over here so you can see on this pattern piece there is 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then there's 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So the trick is to figure out which side was up, because this kind of was off to the side. So I would like to assume that the top is the top. What's happening? I don't know where all this black thread stuff is coming from. I don't feel like my last project wasn't even black. Okay, so here's 1 here. So that does not match up. But this does. So I'm glad I took a little extra time here, because it was definitely flipped upside down. But now I have it. This edge is the top. Cool. So we will go back to sewing here. Same distance here. Two rows on these as well. I do hate picking basting out once it's in, but considering how small the seam allowances are anyway, I think I'm just going to have to do that, because I don't want to try to get 2 rows of basting in before that. So there will be basting removal. Whoop, what do we got? What's happening here? My machine is displeased with something. It looks like it came unthreaded. This has been happening a little bit. I'm not super excited about it at all, but I think that when I'm cutting my threads at the end, I'm cutting, it's pulling back in, like it's too short, it's rebounding. Where's my 6? Or something, because I feel like there's nothing going on, there's nothing wrong with the machine. My thread is just bouncing back and coming out of the needle. That is super annoying, I gotta say. Okay, try again. And then I wasn't careful when I put my stuff down, so I have to look again. This is why sewing so late at night is sometimes not ideal. Yes, not ideal. So there's my edge. I'm pretty sure this middle notch didn't get marked on that piece, but it did on this side, and everything's matching up, so this is the top. Sometimes I power through and don't double check things. Usually that's a bad idea. Second row basting stitches. I also gotta say that I like that these are off-center notches, because sometimes it's really tempting to just make them symmetrical both ways, but then it can be really hard if you get off at all. It can be really hard to figure out what was going on, which directions things are supposed to go, especially when they are almost rectangle. These are pretty much rectangles. You could probably flip them. It would not harm much of anything. Okay, there's, excuse me, tier 3. And now, tier 4, and I cut these out kind of funky, so I'm going to make sure. This one only has notches on the top. So here, my notches are now at the top. And I cut them on the fold, even though that was not the original plan of the piece. For my sanity, that was an easier thing to do. So here, I'm laying them back out the way they're supposed to be. It's fine. It's not a big deal. 2 rows of basting. Here we go. Second row. I'm kind of just running these lines kind of the width of my presser foot a little bit. I'm not measuring or anything like that, but they're approximately a 1/4 inch apart. Approximately a 1/4 inch from the edge. Kind of jogged funny on me, but I don't think it's enough to mess up the gathering. I think it's just weird. It'll be fine. Okay. Ta-da! There it is, the last of the gathering, or I should say the basting stitches, because I haven't actually done the gathering yet. That would be the next step. I guess I could make those panels, but I have to be motivated to gather. I can't say I actually like gathering, and I'm not feeling motivated tonight, so instead I'm going to make the straps next. It's 10:13. At 10:30, that's when it's my bedtime, essentially. It's when I start to wind down for the day. So I'm going to go ahead and do straps. I have 2 straps. They are just the fold in half type thing, so there's nothing fancy here. I'm gonna, according to the instructions, which I'm following the instructions, but I'm not following them in the order of the instructions. I'm kind of one of those that makes it up a little. I don't make it up as I go, because I tend to try to follow the way they've told, like the overall process, but you know, like I just wanted to do my basting stitches and get that out of the way. I don't need to do that in the order they did, as long as it all gets done. I just can't miss anything this way, and that's how I prefer to do it. So I got to make sure I adjust my stitch. This is about a 2.5 length. I see straight stitch, so there's no width. Funny story, I'm on the zigzag. Neat. But since I was doing, I'm going to check one of these real quick. Since I had my width set to 0 on a zigzag stitch, it still should in fact function like a straight stitch. But to confirm that hypothesis, I will gather just a tiny bit of the fabric, and it works. So, even though I was not paying attention, all is well. All is well. Alright, so I'm back to 2.5, and my width is 0. I'm in the middle, but I'm now back on a straight stitch, because it won't matter now. I'm not gathering this or basting this. I am stitching this for real. For reals. And this is a 3/8 inch stitch, or seam allowance. And my 3/8 line is kind of hard to see on this machine. By the way, when I do my next camera situation, I will try to get one zoomed in on the machine, but I don't quite know how to do that yet with the cameras I have. So, to come someday, I hope. And there it went again. There it went again. It's already unthreaded. Super frustrating. Please stop. Don't do this, machine. I always forget to get everything in the right place. But at least it's a fast thread. And goodness knows, can you imagine if sergers came unthreaded like this? Whoa, that would be annoying. Okay, re-threaded. This is back. Folding this in half. 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Try again. I'm going to back tack a bit. And I'm actually going to, because I tend to move my needle back and forth without paying attention, sometimes I just do a quick measure with my, this is my seam gauge, Dritz seam gauge, standard thing. And I just put the this side up against the needle, and then I measure over to where I'm doing what line I'm using, and in this case it is an accurate 3/8. I have my needle in the right position, etc. I am off grain a bit with this. It's not no big deal. I'll just eat that in the seam allowance. I don't think I backtacked at the beginning, but so because this is interface, they do recommend pressing the seam open to get that nice finish. I might do that. Probably what I'll do. Let me switch to my overhead. We'll cut and chat. That's the seam for this one. So if you can see here, I've got my tube. This is the original strap piece, interfacing public side. Not that you can really see it super well with this lighting. And this is it, sewed right sides together. This is the interfacing side. So here's my seam. And I could just get my iron out. It takes, 30 seconds, but I will probably just run my finger along it and do a quick finger press along here. And then flip it over, kind of do the same thing. And then turn this inside out, if I can find my stuff for that. Turning is another thing. It can be real fiddly. I've seen those tools that are like tubes that you kind of jam it in there and just push it through. I think that's another Dritz product, although there's probably 5,000 variations of it. It's kind of one of my on my sewing want list, but not actually enough to stop me from buying fabric. So when I stop buying fabric long enough to build up a little bit of a budget, maybe I'll go in and get some of those cool tools. Okay, I hate this. I hate it. I need someone to tell me easy ways to turn. Let me try a safety pin. I've got safety pins here in my garlic, Aldi garlic container. I'll just get a little one. All my big ones are on top because they're my quilting, pinning, everything ones, so they're always near the top, and the tiny ones are at the bottom. Okay. 2 for 1 new. Of course I don't know what's happening with that. Can't get those apart. Here is one. I'm not winning at these pins. They're all jammed together. Okay. I don't know which one I want. I've got 2 sizes there. Teeny, teeny, tiny. The middle one. I'm going to start with this one and see if it's, hopefully it's not too big. The problem I'm having is right where the seam allowance is, I'm having trouble getting it jammed in there. So I'm hoping if I go with this safety pin in there, I can just turn it in and kind of force it to go through by pulling on it. You know, like you slide it down, pull it through. And it's kind of working if I just keep tucking these edges in. And then slide and pull. I'm grabbing just the outer layer of fabric as much as I can and kind of sliding that back up. Slide and pull, grabbing that outer layer, trying to get it around, because once that part goes in, once this bunchy corner goes in, it's actually going to just kind of slide through. But it is just determined to prove me wrong. And to remind myself why I hate turning straps. When I make bag straps, I always, see if I go this way, then my face is on the screen, but if I go, yeah. Anyway, what was I saying about bag straps? So when I make bag straps, I tend to not turn them. Obviously, when you're dealing with vinyl or leather or kind of even home decor material, that kind of thing, it's a lot harder to turn even than an interface little seersucker here. So at that point, you're just generally folding. I also don't like the ones where you just fold the edges. I feel like that's fiddly, so I am a fold to the middle, make those straps sturdy when I make a bag. Ta-da! Okay, now I just go in all the way to grab the fabric because that's really getting thin there where I've pinned it, and slide it all the way. And since I fingered pressed, it's not bad. I'm not going to worry about it. The instructions say to move that seam to the middle, which I happen to agree with. Ta-da! One strap done. Now I might go ahead and let's see if I can get this. I don't know if you can see in there, but the seam allowance is not open at the moment. So I'm just going to try to finger press that open from there and then kind of just wiggle, 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 wiggle all the way down until this end again, making sure that it's kind of open this way. Do the same thing, wiggle. See if I can wiggle that a little more open so it's nice and flat. Since these are interfaced, since it's folded and interfaced, this could be a little bit thick to wear, like might just kind of feel heavy, but I'm not worried about that. I, once again, avoid pressing. I know pressing is the hallmark of good garment making, just so you know. To be a very good garment maker, you press and you press. But I'm not going to because I'm just maybe not that good of a garment maker. That could be one thing. So now I'm going to do the second strap. And I'm going to try to remember to back tack on both ends because when you turn, if it's not back tacked, it can get pulled apart. Once again, I didn't switch my camera. Sorry, folks, but it was me at my sewing machine. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we're back here. I've got it stitched to 3/8. I'm going to finger press this open real quick, just so pretty duper fast. Again, this is a test garment for 6-year-old girls, so there's a time and a place to really pour into details and just dig until everything is fantastic. But I don't think this garment is it, personally. Okay, so flipping this now to the inside, tucking in my safety pin thingamajigger, whatchamacallit, and then pulling these top layers, slide it, push down, slide, and then pull, try to get just this top layer. Alright, this one's going a little easier, I think, than the other one. Keep repeating the process. Right here is where it gets kind of bulky because it's starting to turn, but it's really building up. I'm honestly not sure that if I make this again, that I will interface the full strap like this, because it's very interfaced. Like I said, I tend to do a mid-weight, in this case non-woven, but I generally do mid-weight either way, and it's just too much. For the next garment, I will take that into consideration. I will really consider the fabric before I choose my interfacing, rather than just using my default interfacing. I was on Instagram the other day, and Muna and Broad, I believe I'm saying that correctly, was going to maybe do a thing on interfacing. And I know there is a Love to Sew podcast that does interfacing as well. They talk about things. I feel now like I have a pretty good idea. There was about what it is. There was a crafty class with, I believe, Linda Maynard. I'm struggling with names. I should have looked all that up, but I have no idea what I'm going to talk about before I get on here, by the way, so please don't think like I plan any of this, just to be clear. There was a Linda Maynard class who really had a great explanation of interfacing, interlining, and lining. So those are your 3 structural parts of a project. So yeah, that's where I learned most of what I know about it, but I still don't feel like I'm a super expert, that if you were just like, here's the fabric, what kind of interfacing would be ideal, and what project should you interline or underline or whatever it's called. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. So I could probably make it work. That is my motto in life, is make it work. That's how I do everything. Fake it till you make it work. But if you want couture bridesmaids dresses or something, then I'm not sure I would feel confident in being able to answer those questions. So, alright, it's turned. I'm wiggling the seam allowance to get it all nice and flat. I didn't even spend as much time finger pressing this one, so it's having a little more trouble getting flat than the other one. But once again, here I am, being not super worried about it. What I am going to do is top stitch along these edges. That will put me at about 10:30, and I will have done 2 straps and my basting stitches, and that's probably all I'm going to do tonight. No, really short and sweet, but okay, so let me switch to my sewing. I gotta remember to do that. Hello! Although everything's super weird, I gotta check that next time. So we're gonna go wider, even though I wish I could be closer. I wish I could just have like a camera here, but one of these days I'll figure it out. But what I'm doing is a top stitch about 1/8 of an inch. From the edge, I'm just doing, I might take my length up to 3, but I don't even bother with that on lightweight fabric. Sometimes I still top stitch at 2.5. Width is at 0. I'm on my straight stitch in the middle. Here we go. And down the other side. I do kind of really push it flat before I I'm struggling with that word. Before I top stitch, so that when I do press it, there won't be bubbling. And we're going to go down this side. Okay, so let's see. Yep, can't see in that lighting. I'll work on lighting too. I'm getting better with my camera setup, but yeah, we're going to do full screen cutting for a second. So we're going to see if you can tell how much flatter this one is. And I didn't, all I did was top stitch the edges, but this will make sure that when you wash it, it doesn't bubble so much. It's going to be nice and flat for her to wear. This one, is all kinds of all over the place. So real quick, we are going to just do the other side strap. And I also want to say I'm not using a special foot for my top stitching here, or markings or anything. I'm eyeballing it. My foot, let's see if I can show you the foot I'm using. This is the C foot it's on a Singer. Okay, let me, is that going to focus? Nope. Cool. So let's go to this one. So it's my standard foot. It's nothing fancy, you can tell, but this one, it's the letter C. I'm sure it has a name. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of got a groove right here. You can kind of see that. Yeah, there you can kind of tell. There's a groove on each edge. That groove, if I center my needle in the middle of the foot, that groove is 1/4 inch. And then if I go, if I eyeball halfway between there, obviously that would be 1/8 inch. And that's how I do my top stitching for most things. I actually, I need to get some more feet. Having a good foot for what you need is important, but in this case, I'm just eyeballing it off of my regular foot. And once again, down the other side. Now that my strap is a little wonky, so that stitching is a little wonky, but I really wish I could show you this because it's actually pretty clean. Let's see what we can come up with here. You cannot see the stitching, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, once again, it's nice and flat and ready to go. No big deal. So, like I said, I've got my basting stitches in on my tiered panels, and I've got these two, so probably next time what I'll do is I'll probably do the center panels. I'll get the tiers sewn together and sewn to the main front and back pieces, which will just leave the bodice. We'll see. Depending on how much I can handle finicky pieces, I may go ahead and do some pressing for the bodice and kind of get those prepped. We'll see. I always just kind of play it by what's feeling awesome at the moment, because this is my hobby, and I do try to remember to have fun with it on occasion. So thanks for joining me. Happy sewing. Yeah, let me know what you're working on. You can comment on my YouTube video. You can find me on Instagram, LadyReed84. Subscribe to know when I go live, because I actually usually don't know when I'm going live. I will work on a consistent schedule. That's like tip number 1 for all streamers, and I guarantee that's pretty low on my list. So if you want to know when I'm going live again, just subscribe and notify, and then you'll know. Good night.